What's new, Reborn crew? What the man? Let's try that again. What's good? My name's Tony, and today I'm gonna talk to you about my honest thoughts about Cornell, a little bit about my experience, and why I honestly think that you shouldn't go there. First, I'll start out with telling you a little bit about my background. So I'm a recent graduate of Cornell University. I studied finance in the Dyson School. I am the son of a dad who went to Florida A&M, and he was the first in his family to go to college. And then my mother, who was an immigrant from Jamaica, moved to here at 16 and was also the first in her family to go to college. I say all that as a little bit of a backdrop into why I believe that, honestly, for a lot of people, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to succeed, and I feel like I felt that, coming from minority parents, and they obviously wanted me to do great in life, have a great job, and provide me with all the opportunities possible, which I believe they did, and they did a good job at it, all throughout life. They put me in positions to where I'd be able to eventually get to a school like Cornell, and so I'm extremely grateful for that. But I would say there was also some negativity that comes from an environment that's fostering such a culture of excellence, which leads me to my first point of why I don't think you actually should go to Cornell. It's because you don't want to go to Cornell. Your motivation is all wrong, and it's not even your own. So I say that because from my own experience, there were times where I was being guided or I was being pushed in a certain direction that maybe necessarily wasn't coming from my own thoughts or my own ideas. So I think a lot of people nowadays are almost going through the motions because someone is guiding their own trajectory in life. And I think that can come from influences like your parents, your brothers, your friends, the world, TV, media, all of these different forms of media where you're just gathering information constantly and seeing, so many people's lives unfold before your eyes, and it's just so accessible. I think that really can change a lot of the beliefs that you have, and it honestly becomes not even your own belief. So you may think that you want to go to a school like Cornell. You may believe that you want to achieve like people who have went to Cornell, but honestly, if you really look inside yourself, I think the question maybe become, do I really want this? Do I want this for me? Or am I wanting this for some other person? I think that's a super big question that you really need to ask yourself, because, even nowadays we have so many tools and the ability to just watch people on YouTube, have their unveiling of all the colleges they got in, like seeing like, oh yeah, I applied to 50 schools and 0 safeties. And then like they get into them and like you see them, the emotion that they feel, the happiness, the joy and everything like that. And it makes you start to believe that you may crave that for yourself. But I honestly think that majority of the time, a lot of the things that we really want is just because of comparison and because other people are doing it. And we think that we need to accomplish those same things or else we won't be successful. And all that is comparison. And comparison is the thief of joy. So when we're constantly, battling with our peers in, let's say, high school, and, oh, they applied to this certain school, and, oh, what schools have you applied for, and da-da-da. Like, nobody wants to say, oh, yeah, I went to community college, or, yeah, I think I'm going to go to, or maybe I'm not going to go to college. Nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that girl. So you always are subconsciously competing with even your peers at a high school level. And so that is honestly unhealthy, and it can cause you to desire something and crave something and crave a certain status that you don't even want for yourself. And there's a lot of negative impacts that comes with that. That constant need for achievement can honestly cause you to lose your own happiness. It can cause you to lose your own sense of self, and it can cause you to end up in a wrong direction that wasn't even meant for you. You could potentially be living someone else's life and someone else's dream that you don't even want. And for me personally, I'm not going to say that I didn't want to go to Cornell. I'm not going to say that, it was all forced from my parents or from my environment, but I definitely have to say that a lot of that came from my environment. There was a lot of pressure for me to succeed, to go to a great Ivy League university like Cornell. And if I were to sit here and tell you that, if I didn't get into that school, I would have thought I was also a success, that would be a lie. You know, I honestly would have thought that I was a failure because I had a brother who went to a great school. I had friends that were getting into great schools, and I knew from my parents that that was expectation, and that is, the reason why we did so many things as kids. And I didn't spend time just hanging out when I was getting older, and there was a focus on that drive and that ability to try to achieve something that's greater. And that was that drive that was instilled in me as a young age. Getting those grades of, you better come home with A's, right? I know a lot of people that might be watching this maybe came from a similar environment. It was like, you would maybe be a disappointment if you didn't get all A's. And that expectation that may have been laid from either teachers, parents, friends, whatever, now is instilled in yourself. And so now you have that expectation to where, if you don't achieve and meet the best thing possible, that you may be a failure. And I want to tell you that that's incorrect. And I want to kind of distill that from your mindset and from, continuing to keep that on. Because I'll tell you right now, like, you can get into Cornell, you can go to Cornell, but that is just an expectation, right? Like, you may be excited for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, but that will wear out. And after the excitement wears out, what are you left with? You're the one who's going to have to go through this school, this education, whatever it is that you achieve. Like, you're the one who's going to have to deal with it. So you just need to make sure and understand that it's actually coming from you, right? And so your motivation is probably all wrong. And I think that that can cause you to have a worse experience at Cornell and anywhere you go or at anything you do. And so I really think that that is the biggest thing to actually really evaluate, because if you go to Cornell, it's not all gonna be, roses. There are gonna be a lot of hard times. And so you need to be understanding, why is it I'm going to Cornell and what is my goal, right? And I think there's only a select few people that even should go to Cornell. Cornell is a great school. It has, very specific majors or specific professors or specific classes that some people really need to take, and that's their whole reason for wanting to go to the school. And so I can agree with them. I go, okay, yeah, like, there's a real reason you may want to do that. Like, maybe you want to do this certain research with a professor and in this school, and that's the reason why you're so motivated to go to Cornell. But I think there's a vast majority of people that are only going to Cornell for its namesake and for the status. And I think, that is maybe not the best reason to base, your entire willingness to put yourself through an ordeal of going to an Ivy League institution, because it's hard. I don't think that that's justifies it necessarily, because you can still be very successful going to a state school, a community college, or whatever. And it doesn't just have to be, this top institution because, that's what the internet tells me is one of the top 20 schools in America. I don't think that that should be your why. I think that your why comes down to why you actually want it, but I think you can only discover that when you understand that your why currently is not your own. And so if you want to go to a specific school or do a certain major, I agree with, like, the hospitality school. If you want to do something in hotels, anything like that, like, I think that is a reason why you might want to go to Cornell. But if you're only going to Cornell because you want to do investment banking because your friends are all going to do investment banking, I don't think that that's a good why. And so I don't think you should actually go to Cornell, because you might be putting yourself through something that you don't even want. And I'll say for myself, when you get to Cornell, the comparison doesn't stop and the competition doesn't either. So if you think all your friends are super successful now and you might feel like you're far behind, and so you have to do these things to get a certain level, the same exact thing will occur at Cornell. And honestly, it'll be 10 times worse, right? So your peers will already have an internship freshman summer. They already have done 2 internships before they even come to school. And so now you're left scraping, trying to climb up this social ladder to be able to achieve success, which you don't even have a definition of that for yourself. Is success landing an investment banking job? Or is success having a joyful life with a family and having health, right? Like, you need to decide that for yourself, but you got to understand you can't have both, right? The people that are going into, let's say, investment banking or tech or whatever role it is, whatever role for your field it is, you got to understand that there are trade-offs for everything. And so just because someone else is saying that this job is a super good thing, or this school is going to grant you some far-reaching thing that you think you don't have, you got to understand that once you even get there, that may not fulfill you, right? So you can come out of Cornell with a great job and land that, but that may not fulfill you. That may not even be what you want to do in life. So I think it's super important that you actually evaluate what it is that you want to do and what it is you want to get out of Cornell. Because if you just want to get a job, then honestly, I don't even think that you need to go to Cornell for that, because it is a who do you know game at the end of the day. And so if you're able to find those connections through your alumni at your state school or at this other institution that you actually dreamed and want to go to, then I'd say that may be a potential route that is well worth it. I was talking with my brother actually, and I was asking him, of the why you should go to a school like this, and like in his opinion, like why did he choose to go to his school? And so how he put it was like, it provides you the best amount of opportunities. And I can agree with that. How I think of it is like, it's almost like a dice, a 6-sided dice, but if you, let's say, go to an Ivy League institution, maybe the dice has 3 sides that are 6. And so if you roll that dice, you have a higher chance to landing a 6. That 6 could be a good job, could be a great career, whatever it is for you. Whereas if you, let's say, go to a state school, like if I went to UGA, because I'm from Georgia, maybe it's a regular dice, 1 through 6. If you roll it, you can still land that great job, or you can land, maybe just a simple job, maybe, or maybe you don't have a job, because that is the reality, especially in this environment. You can still go to school paying, hundreds of thousands of dollars and still end up with no education. And that happens at UGA, and that also happens at Cornell, which I don't think people really grasp that and really understand that. You still have to be a very good student at Cornell because you're surrounded by very good students. So you still need to be not necessarily top of your class. I'm not saying you got to be valedictorian, because that's everyone that does come to Cornell, like low-key is a valedictorian. Like I remember I was there, I was like meeting people that were valedictorian, that were their school president and like doing these huge things. I'm like, dang, like everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I the different one? And I mean, granted, I actually was a student athlete, so I played soccer at Cornell, and so I was different. I didn't have necessarily all the educational achievements that many people had because they had more time to do them. And so, of course, I got good grades and good SAT, and I met all the requirements to get in, and I did my fair share of extracurriculars, but nowhere near the level of some of the people that have been building their resume since they're 5 years old, right? And that's just something you need to understand. But out of those people that have been building their resume since 5, some of them will not get jobs. And that honestly surprised me so much, because I've met people, I have friends that like struggled to get a job after graduating from an Ivy League university. And it's like, what? Like, how is that? It's so hard to fathom, because you think that after going through the rigor of those classes and the education and, meeting all the requirements and also paying all that money, financially, but also mentally and emotionally, there's a cost to going to Cornell too. You can still end up jobless, which is, on the same spectrum, on the same end of, let's say, going to your local school, your local college that, that you can get in, that you may get scholarships to actually, that may be well within your budget. You have the same probability, not the same probability, but you have the same chance to to not getting a job also, right? If that's a fear for you, like you think you have to go to this school because you need to get a job, I gotta say to you, like you can also end up jobless coming out of Cornell, and you can also end up jobless at your local school. But maybe this option sets you up better financially than going in debt and having to pay student loans for years upon years, which I know can be a burden to many people. And so you just got to keep that in mind. It's a roll of the dice. You can end up with also a great job if you go to your local school by connecting through alumni and building those connections in the same way that you can go to Cornell. And I'd say that where Cornell has the advantage, let's say, as opposed to me going to UJ, is because the people that you may meet and gain those connections with oftentimes may have connections on more prestigious institutions and at more prestigious jobs. And so the likelihood, once again, may increase by going to Cornell, but it does not mean it's impossible if you do not go to Ivy League University. Maybe in some cases, if you want to break into a career where some people from your college don't go there, then it may take more work, but at the end of the day, you still have to be a genuine human being. And I think that any firm will like that more, that you're a genuine human being, hardworking, and love that job, as opposed to just having all the things on paper and the accolades and the institution to your name. Like they'll see that name on the resume and they might like it more, like of a Cornell. Oh, cool, wow. But at the end of the day, they may not hire you still because you might not be a good fit, right? So I think working on yourself is the most important piece of that. But don't get me wrong, there is weight to the Cornell institution name and to all the Ivy League schools, but you gotta understand those are to specific industries, and so you need to be really dialing in and locking in on, okay, is this an industry I want to go to? Okay, fine, then I'll go to this school, I'll meet with these people, I'll make these connections, and seek out alumni at these firms, and Cornell will help me do that. But if that isn't what you want to do, there's no reason to go down that route. And you also need to double check, oh hey, maybe I have alumni that are at this firm too, and maybe I can reach out to them and try to find them that way. Because you gotta understand, when you also go to a school that isn't commonly in these high up and highly regarded firms, institutions, they actually have a greater pull on people coming in because they actually really want to give back. So that's like one benefit to, let's say, not going to an Ivy League university. Because actually, at the place that I work, there's it's called the College of New Jersey. They have literally like the most alumni on my floor, right? It's crazy. Like you'd think, oh, like everyone's gonna be from Harvard or Princeton or Cornell and anything like that. I'm literally one of the few Cornell people on my floor. I think there's like 2 on my whole floor. There's more at the company because it's a big company, but I'm a minority based on my school. Like people are going to DCNJ, people are coming from like schools out in Arizona and like Miami, like all these things that are great schools, and they are very successful people, and I'm also at their same level, and I went to Cornell. So it's like we all end up at the same path eventually. It's just a matter of which one do you prioritize. So your motivation is super crucial, and I think that needs to be the biggest thing that you actually identify in your why of going to a school, your why of doing anything in life. Because once you evaluate that, I think all the decisions and choices of what school should I go to, it really becomes a lot easier once you know yourself. And secondly, education at this point is universal, right? Education is universal. There's so many things that you can learn not going to an institution and just going on YouTube that it's crazy. I mean, YouTube University is a real thing, and I mean, people underutilize it so bad, but there's so many skills and so much that you're able to learn just from solely the internet, right? I've heard stories of people that go to schools, right? They take a 3-month break off, like I think a lot of people they take a break off after they go to school. They don't go straight into work, and they've done like a coding boot camp, and then they now go work for Google. Like I've had friends that do that. Like they literally went to a school out in Ohio, like a local school. I don't even know the name of it, but now after taking a Python boot camp doing a boot camp after he graduated. Now he's working at Google, right? And I have friends that literally studying comp sci at Cornell, and they can't get to anywhere in tech. Like they currently do not have jobs, right? So it's just, there's two ends of the spectrum. Like you can actually, leverage the resources that you have available to you outside of any college and like gain that sort of insight on your own. And that can propel you to wherever it is that you want to go. It's not necessarily just a name brand thing and having this education from an Ivy League university that's going to get you your job. Like you can get your own job, like by studying, taking the time, and having that drive to really seek it out yourself. So I think that that's one piece that is very, very, very underlooked and actually overlooked, because people think that it's all in the name brand and people want to pay for this and that, when there's so many free tools that you have available to you, right? Like Harvard has their comp sci intro classes online on YouTube. Like go and YouTube that. Like if that's a field that you want to go into, YouTube that. You do not necessarily have to pay a certain amount of money because you think that it's going to get you a better education. And I'll let you know another thing. Like for most of majors and most classes, the education is universal. So for me, I study finance. I was in a Dyson school at Cornell. My finance courses are teaching the same material as the courses at the University of Georgia. And actually, in some parts, the University of Georgia kids are learning like more than me. Like it's crazy. Like I remember I was talking to a friend over lunch, catching up. We went to high school together, and he's talking to me about like these certain valuation classes that I did not take. And I'm like, dang, I probably should know this, huh? Or like he was doing certain Excel modeling courses that it was not necessarily in our curriculum. Like I think there's some courses that you may have the option of taking if I wanted to kind of concentrate in like Excel and like data analytics. I could have taken that course, but like I only had an intro, so like I cannot tell you all the formulas on Excel. I can't tell you how to run through a DCF right now. I can't, but a lot of the learnings are universal, and sometimes depending on what your niche is, you may get a better learning at a different school. Like my old roommate, he was chemical engineering. I've heard that's a great program at Cornell. It's super specific, super small school. That's amazing, right? But he's also told me that, University of Michigan also has a great engineering program. And he was really debating between the two of which to take, because you have to take it on a program by program basis. There are schools within Cornell that maybe are not as prestigious, or maybe are not as going to be beneficial for your career as a state school, right? Like I know the College of Arts and Sciences, like that maybe is not or CAS, whichever one is, that one is maybe not ranked as highly as a school that, is going to be more favorable to you, that you may get a scholarship to. So I think to not just go on the surface level of a blanket statement, Cornell is going to give you, or Harvard's going to give you, Princeton's going to give you the best education across the board, because within these colleges, the education will differ. And so I think not focusing on that, but focusing on what it is that you want to learn is the most important thing. And then finding ways that you can supplement that outside of just your institution. Because if you can find a certain course or take something online, and maybe that might be, if you see their success rate, that might be able to place you into a certain industry and a certain job and a certain career, then that might be a more important thing for you to look at. And also within that education, it'll help you to discover what it is you actually want to do. So instead of just like saying, oh yeah, I want to be a coder, I want to do this, or I want to work IB, like you can have an idea of what they actually do, and you can actually understand, oh wow, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't want to work 20 hours a day in 80 plus hour weeks, right? Or 100 hour weeks. Maybe you don't want to do that. And I think by actually learning, you can actually understand, how it is and what it is that you're actually doing later on in life, rather than, setting yourself up for failure by committing to something and committing to something that you don't even want to learn and that you don't even love. And with that understanding with learning piece, I think it's important for you to learn from other people as well. So learning from alumni, learning from friends, learning from people that are farther ahead of you in life, and hearing out their lessons that they have and advice that they may give to you. Because I know that's how I actually found my job. It was through talking to people and listening to so many people describe their roles and what they actually, define success as and what makes them happy. Learning from that to understand that, wow, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Maybe this one's kind of better. Maybe this one, okay, this one might be one of the better ones. That's how I was able to learn. I was able to see like, okay, yeah, I don't want to do IB. Okay, I don't want to do private equity. I think real estate's cool, but maybe it not yet, or maybe it's with my certain major, maybe I can't get into that. That sort of learning from others, I think is super, super, super crucial to understand. And even learning from your peers, right? Once you get to your school, learning what it is they're doing, learning what their goals are, what drives them. Because then you'll be able to pick out, okay, hey, I'm a little bit similar to them. I think, maybe we have, the same morals, and maybe we want to have the same goals in life. Or it's like, okay, this guy is only motivated by money and greed and chasing status. He is not like me at all. Maybe we shouldn't be going for the same role. Maybe I shouldn't want the same exact role as him. Because that's one thing I learned at Cornell. It's like a lot of people are motivated by those certain factors, right? And there definitely was a point in time where I was motivated by those as well. And I think it's our human nature to want to acquire and to want to succeed. But then, like, if you never take a step back and like be like, wow, why am I doing this? Am I really just chasing a check? Like, are you chasing numbers on a screen right now? Like, is that what life is about? Like, if I didn't take a step back to realize that after, having to deal with a lot of health issues, a lot of problems with my family that was going on, I wouldn't have ever looked back and been like, wow, maybe this isn't the most important thing that I should be living for. And if you never like have that realization, then you may end up on a track with other people that are all heading down the wrong direction, because hey, you can be motivated by money, you can. And so if you want to live for money, that is okay for you, as long as you know that that's why you're living for it. And a lot of people have certain circumstances where money is a heavy motivating factor. Like, heavy money is a motivating factor for me in terms of the career. I cannot work off of $10,000 a year, and because I also have to support my parents. Like, I have to literally support them, right? And it's tough. And I know it's tough. A lot of people coming from low-income households, they have the need to be able to do that. And so it's important to, map out the why. Like, if the goal is to, help out people, to help other people, to help your family, then that is a good reason to be motivated, in a sense, by money. But if your only motivation for money is the love of money, then that's evil, right? Because even in the Bible, it says, it doesn't say that money itself is evil, but the love of money is evil. So you always need to just understand what it is that you're chasing and the why, because your intentions are super, super important. And it's not always, what it is you do, but it's the intentions behind it that may cause it to be evil. And so I think that with that education piece, you just need to be educating yourself on what's out there and also educating yourself internally. Because the third reason of why you shouldn't come to Cornell is that Cornell is going to change you. It's going to change you. And that could be for good, and that could be for worse. A little bit on that example I was telling you, right? There's a lot of people that are going down a path that maybe is not for you. A lot of people are chasing money, they're chasing status, they're chasing an object. And that maybe is not what you need to do. But I'll tell you, you will be looped into chasing those same goals, having those same ambitions as your classmates. Because it's human nature, and it's because what we do, and it's because you're probably a competitive person. If you're able to get in, you probably have some competitiveness in you, right? I had a whole lot of competitiveness, right? I played sports, I played soccer. So I'm not gonna let somebody outwork me, and if I can, I'm not gonna let somebody beat me to something or achieve something that I cannot, right? So that will have a toll on you, and that will be a strain. You will end up joining clubs, going to all the information sessions just because other people are doing it. You may not even want this company at all, but you know it's a good look to your employers or potential employers and to your teachers, whatever, going to office hours, all these different things. You will jump through hoops because of other people in the beginning, especially as a freshman, because you don't even know who you are as a person yet, and you're still growing, right? So it's okay that that may happen a bit, freshman year, but if you come into Cornell as a immature freshman and you leave Cornell as an immature senior, then that's a problem, and your entire college career was a waste. If you are not coming in as one person and leaving as a changed man or woman, then I think when you went to college, it was a waste. It's just straight up, like, you cannot come through 4 years of the rigor, the intensity, the problems and challenges of life on top of that and be walking out the same person, because you will either adapt or it will break you. One of the two, right? And I think a lot of people go through a lot in university in general, but also Cornell. I know people, they see the headlines and stuff. People struggle with Cornell, and I don't want to say this over you, but there's a heavy likelihood that you may struggle with Cornell too. It's just important what you do in that struggle and what you do with that struggle. For a lot of people, it may be too tough for them and they don't know how to handle it. And sometimes they don't get the help that they need or may want at the time where it's needed most. And that can lead to death, right, at school. Like, it can lead to people, unfortunately, losing their life, right? And if they don't lose their life, maybe they lose their life in terms of giving it away and giving it to drugs, giving it to alcohol, giving it to so many other things that they lose a part of themselves. And so, I personally went through struggles too at Cornell, but it broke me for a minute, but then it was able to bring me back up because I was able to find God and I was able to find purpose back in life, right? And so there's so many things available at Cornell, so many different groups that you can join, so many clubs that you can meet your people and meet the needs to really get you through Cornell. Because I think if you go through Cornell alone and you try to have that experience all alone, it will not be a good experience. I had a lot of people to lean on at Cornell that were able to bring me through those tough times. And I think leaning on God is really what got me through everything and really changed my outlook on life, because I definitely was chasing the status and success, and I probably wouldn't have been able to realize that or have this conversation with you guys to be able to tell you, hey, some of these things, you don't actually want them. The world tells you that you want them, but you actually should want more and want more things that are actually valuable. And I don't mean money, I don't mean materialistic things, right? I mean actual joy, actual peace, and that's not going to be found in a career or a job just on the surface, right? Just I'm saying that because you may think that you have this perfect vision, this perfect dream job, but I'll tell you what, as someone that's now working, as someone that has talked to people that are years on in their career, there is no perfect job, right? You can get the best job that you have for you. I think I'm close, right? But that does not mean that it's going to be perfect. There's never going to be days that you don't want to come in. There's never going to be problems. You're never going to deal with people that are difficult. All those things are going to happen, right? And the only perfect, true job is going to be one that you build and formulate for yourself. But even then, there's going to be imperfection because we as humans are imperfect, right? So you got to get that out of your head as well. Trying to chase this perfect job, the perfect role, it's not going to happen. I think there's 10% of the world maybe is able to, convince themselves that they have it. But if you really, really look into their lives, they're sacrificing something somewhere. If it's not in the job world, then it's in their family. They aren't able to spend much time with their family. If it's not family, then it's health. They aren't able to be living a healthy life. They aren't able to, go work out. All these things. There's so many different things that there's an area that they are sacrificing. And so your job coming out of Cornell is not going to be perfect, and you're especially not going to get it perfect on your first try, right? But after a couple tries, maybe you'll continue to grow and learn what you actually like, and you'll be able to land more of a perfect role. But, I mean, the school is going to change you. It's going to be difficult. They're going to be long winters, you know. You better invest in a jacket. I'll tell you that right now. And some winter boots and some rain gear. I'm not going to lie. Because, look, I went there and I was like shook. I was like, dang, why am I still seeing snow in May? I'm like, there's still snow on the ground in May, bruh. And so, you know, there's going to be good seasons in life. There's going to be bad seasons. There's going to be good seasons at Cornell. There's going to be bad seasons. I'll tell you, the bad season kind of is an extended period for while you're there. But I will say in the fall, it actually is pretty good weather in the first half-ish of the fall. So, like I said, if you really like the school of Cornell, don't let the weather deter you. But if you are iffy, you know, I personally wouldn't have minded if Cornell was, you know, right there on the beach in Miami or something like that, or maybe way out west in LA or something like that. But you can't get everything, you know, that you want in school. So it's not going to be a perfect school. You're going to be missing something, you know, and you just got to have that in mind. You just got to keep that in mind and have that be what's deciding your decision and not someone else. So that change is hard, it's difficult, and I think that you have the ability to even set yourself up for success beforehand by identifying, you know, deep within and doing the difficult things beforehand, because nobody wants to think about their purpose in life. Nobody wants to think, you know, where is this going to get me in 20 years? Nobody wants to think, you know, why am I living for? Because it's hard. We'd all rather just, you know, stay in what's the next task, what are we doing, and keep moving forward, which is the way I lived for 21 years of my life, right? I'm now 22, but you cannot do that because that will not grant fruitfulness in the future. And what I mean by that is, you know, it can work for only so long before you'll actually have to meet with yourself and be like, man, like, why am I doing this? Like, I keep going down these paths, I keep going down these steps. Why am I doing this? And you don't want to have that conversation too late. Like, imagine being on your deathbed and being like, man, like, why did I do all this? Why did I put myself through this? Why did I work all these hours? Why did I miss out on relationships and friends and gatherings, all these things? Why? You know, because as you're going down this career, I know you're going to be successful as a person, as a human being. Like, just know you are already successful. Okay, you're already successful. But I know that as you continue to go down your career and as you continue to just age, like, you're going to miss out. The more successful you are, you're going to miss out on so many things, right? You may have the ability, and you may have you may become preoccupied with your success so much that you miss out on the present. And it's just the way it is. Like, you may not be enjoying the little things in life because you're chasing the big things and the big accomplishments. And I know that because I do the same thing. And once you even achieve those big accomplishments, it will not fulfill you. Like, you will always be looking for the next thing, the next success, the next accomplishment. Because you might be chasing dreams, you might be chasing goals, and that's great. But what you've got to understand is, if you keep on chasing something and you're never able to catch it, why is it that you're even chasing it? Like, you'll never obtain it. And you keep looking in all these things of the world, but you may never obtain it. So I think that, you know, you just got to understand that as you become more successful, like, you're going to be missing out. And so it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing if you go to a better school or someone went to a state school or a community college. Like, everyone has their own route, everyone has their own destiny and their own path, but it's important that you own it and that you don't just succumb to pressures of society and all these, you know, people whispering in your ear and people wanting to live through you, that you end up making decisions that you do not want to make and that you may end up regretting. Don't live life with any regrets. You know, understand that everything in this world happens for a reason, but you have to make the most of it, right? Any problems that come your way, at Cornell or at whatever school you may choose, like they are happening, and you have to be able to take them and allow them to build you up and mold you into the person that you're meant to be, and not let them break you down. Because if you go throughout your life, you will be knocked down, but it's important how you get back up and how you deal with these problems. Because like I said at Cornell, like you're gonna face issues, you're gonna face difficult people, you're gonna face challenges, and all those things are just a preview and a foreshadowing of what is going to occur later in life. So I think that choosing university is a super important decision, but it is not what is going to make or break your life and your career. I think that understanding the why behind what you want is the more important thing than where you're gonna study at school, because you're gonna learn the same concepts as people who are learning things anywhere in the world, because things are online. Like if you have internet, like you can learn someone can learn the same thing as you and not even go to college. I'm not saying that that's the best route, but I know that you can be successful nowadays and you don't need a degree, like something on the wall, you know? I'm at my childhood home, like one day I'll probably have my diploma on the wall or something up here and I'll forget about it, right? Because you do move on. Like you can't just live in the present, but it is important that you actually take your accomplishments and relish in the fact that, wow, like I have achieved so much, you know? Because you might get stuck in that loop that I've been in, I gotta break it every day, that like, man, I need to achieve more. Like I graduated from here now, okay, I gotta do more. It's a tough thing to break, but I know that you can do it. I believe in you, and I believe that you will make, you know, the right decisions in terms of college decision making. I just think that you can't be looped into what everyone else is doing, and also go down your own path. Like travel the road less traveled. Like forge your own path. Like you don't have to be like everyone else. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing unless you want to get their same results. If you want to be exactly like someone else, then do exactly what someone else did. If you want to be your own person, then do your own thing. That's really it. You know, I think that Cornell is a great school, and it's a great school for specific people, but it is not a great school for everyone on this world, like everyone on this earth. Like not everyone needs to go to Cornell. Just because it's a great school, it's got a great name, not everyone needs to go to Cornell or supposed to. I think that there are many people that go to the school and they find out the hard way that it was not meant for them. And so I don't want people to go down that path that I see at Cornell, where people are just ending up lost and confused. And I think that if you put in the right amount of preparation and work beforehand of understanding yourself, you can actually evaluate and really get the right school for you. Or if that's school at all, like maybe you just literally want to be, I don't know, like a painter or something like that, an artist. Like maybe you don't need to go to school because you have an actual plan put together of how you're going to network, meet the right people, know the right information, study these right degrees and educations that will actually propel you to that career of what you love and doing what you actually love, instead of just doing what you're told. Because I think that's a lot in society. We're being told what it is we should do, who it is we should become, but I think that we really need to reset that and reflect on who it is that we want to become ourselves. So that's pretty much all that I had to say about why you shouldn't go to Cornell maybe, and that's really it, man. But I appreciate all of you guys for checking in, coming into the video. Definitely like, follow, and subscribe for more. I'm a recent grad and I make a lot of other videos, just me living in NYC, and I can let y'all in on some of my life. Let me know what other videos you want, man, below. And definitely let me know your opinions. I mean, maybe I said the wrong thing, maybe I offended you, like, you know, maybe you're Cornell's biggest fan, you're like, what's that boy from The Office? Is it Andy? What's his name? Something like that. Maybe you're that guy and you're like, hey, no, everyone needs to go to the Big Red. no, I don't think everyone needs to go. And I'm not saying it's a bad school. Don't get that impression. I'm very blessed to be able to go there. But I do think that there's a certain extent of people that need to go, and there's a certain group of people that don't need to go. And I just want you to go to the best school for you, not for other people. So that's pretty much it. Appreciate y'all hopping in here, and hope you got some gems from it. Let me know what else you want to see from me. If you need any other advice on schools, Cornell, and just living life after school, because that's really what most of my channel is for. Just giving you that insight and giving you the game that I wish I had. You know, you look at me like a big brother, man, something like that. So let me know if you need anything else from me, but hope that, you know, decision day is going well for y'all. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. But appreciate y'all coming out. I didn't have to get the bat out, man. If y'all started, you know, talking back to me, I would have got that hammer, man. But hopefully I got my point across, and really just take it in, really reflect on it, and just continue to go forward in life, and just understanding what it is you're trying to do, and understand what it is that you want to do. That's really it, man. So appreciate y'all joining in. Peace.